Where's the music? Hey friends, TKSB here. I just wanted to check in really quickly. I'm on my way to work, but today's Thursday, and it has been a crazy week. On Monday, when I was at work, I got a phone call from my daughter, and she said that my youngest son had a seizure, and the ambulance was on its way. And I work 30 minutes from my house on a good day, because I also live in Hawaii on the North Shore, where the tourists are back. So traffic sometimes should be only 30 minutes, and it can turn into 45 minutes to an hour, which makes absolutely no sense. But I'm not going to go on that tangent right now. So I, of course, immediately, I told her, okay, I'm on my way. I hung up the phone and called my husband, and I told him so that he would be aware and he could decide if he wanted to come home or not, which he, of course, immediately decided to leave work as well. And we began the 30-minute ride home. He works in construction, and on that particular day, he was at a site that was also 30 minutes away from our house. So we were both just, it's the absolute worst feeling when you have a child who is like your youngest, and any age, I'm sure, but especially your youngest, because the older ones, it just feels like they're just gonna be okay. Like, they've been around long enough, they can weather any storm, right? But the younger ones, like, they haven't been around long enough, they don't know what to do. And so I rushed home. Well, I was rushing home, and I immediately began to pray. And what was interesting to me about this was also that morning I had been doing my devotional, and so I was actually in the book of Job. The first 3 chapters were the devotional for the day, and in those first 3 chapters, the devil is given permission by the Lord to interact with Job in an effort to make Job curse God, but God knew that Job wouldn't, and that's why he gave the devil permission. And so it was interesting, because then, as a result, the devil was given permission to take the lives of Job's kids. So, after reading a devotional like that, and then that's where it ended, because I only ended at chapter 3 for the day. And then to get a phone call from my oldest daughter saying that my son had a seizure, and he was unconscious but breathing, was a lot, okay? Do I need to even say that? It was a lot. And so I'm rushing home. I'm thinking about Job. I'm deciding within my head and heart that no matter what happens, I continue to trust the Lord. I will continue to, yet, though he slay me, I will praise him. And so that was really what was going on in my head as I'm driving home. And then I call my daughter again to check in, see what's going on. Has the ambulance arrived? How is he doing? He's still unconscious. The ambulance is there. She's looking for his medical paperwork to give to the doctors, like his ID and his medical card. And so I give her that information about where it's at, what she knows, but like, how you don't think sometimes, right? So she knows where it's at, so I just confirm that with her. And then my husband calls and he says, do you want to just go and meet at the hospital? Because by the time you get home, the ambulance will be taking him to the hospital. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Let's just meet there. So, it's all along the way, because I have to come down the highway, and either I make a left to go home or I make a right to go to the hospital at the bottom of the hill. So, like, that's what it is. So, so I start heading to the hospital. and the ambulance, and it is the ambulance, like it literally passes by me. And as it's passing by, I call my daughter and I said, did the ambulance leave? And she goes, yeah, they just left. And I'm like, okay, this is the ambulance passing by me. And then I'm so frustrated because the traffic, people are not following the traffic law. So when the ambulance comes, you pull to the right, and they are not pulling to the right. Of course, they're not pulling to the right fast enough for me. And so I'm like a little stressed about that. And then I want to follow the ambulance because I know my son's inside. But of course, I obey the traffic rules, and I'm just trying to get there as fast as I can. And I get there like minutes after the ambulance, so it's not so bad. And because of COVID, my husband's already there. He's outside waiting. And because, again, he got there before the ambulance, and I got there minutes after the ambulance. So as I pull in, park, and walk over, I'm like, okay, I'm looking for my son. He was just brought in that ambulance right there. And this random nurse that was walking in the parking lot that I'm asking, she's like, okay, I don't know, but you can go check in with them over there. And there's this outdoor tent because they want to screen you and everything before they let you in. And I'm like walking towards it, and the nurse is with me, and she's like, she's looking for her son. And then this woman from the ambulance comes over. She's like, oh, are you Ezekiel's mom? And I'm like, yes, I'm looking for my son. And she's like, calm down, he's fine, he's okay, he's awake now. Like, she gives me a quick update, and then she takes me to the screening tent, and she's like, her son just came in, he's in bed too. And so they're like, okay, well, we're just gonna screen her, then we can let her in. So they let me in. My husband is completely frustrated because he'd been there waiting. The ambulance hadn't arrived yet. When it arrived, they hadn't let him know that my son was there. But I'm sure it just happened so fast. But he's so frustrated because I immediately get let in and he didn't. And so I can totally understand that, because I'd be pissed as well. And they won't let both parents in, which is ridiculous. Like, when you have a child who's brought in by emergency services and they're unconscious when they get picked up, I think those are circumstances that you should allow both parents in. But there's protocol, and so I will respect that. I got to see my son. I feel bad that my husband didn't. My son is okay, so it's okay. If my son had not been okay, all hell would have probably broke loose that day. But God be the glory, everything was fine. So I'm talking fast because I got to go to work in like 5 minutes. I could just record it later, but it's so much better when you do it in the moment. Okay, so the reason why I'm sharing this, though, is that there are certain things that you should do when a person has a seizure. And I'm not going to list them all, but I'm just going to list the really quick, basic ones. One, a seizure of 5 minutes or less, actually, you don't need to call an ambulance for. What you should do, though, is if you can at all, record it. Get a phone, your iPad, a camera that has the video recording setting, and record the seizure. And the reason that you want to do that is because there's certain things that the doctors and neurologists are going to want to know. They're going to want to know what's going on with their eyes, if they rolled up to the side, whatever, if they're staring straight open, if they're open and they're doing something like that. They're going to want to know the head positioning. They're going to want to know the tremors, like how the body is shaking. They want to know about the hands. Are they clenched? Are they, disformed? They're going to want to know if the arms are straight. Are the arms, bent? Are they, how are they tremoring? Same thing with the legs. Did the person become incontinent? Did is their mouth open? Are they smacking? Is their tongue hanging out? Are they foaming? And they also want to know, if in their spasm, are they, did they bump their head or something? Because when we are witnessing it, we think we're paying attention to all of those things, but a little micro action could happen that we totally missed. That is really important to the neurologist to know. And so that's why it's recommended for seizures lasting 5 minutes or less that you record it. Hey friends, it has been one hell of a week. It's finally Friday. I'm so excited because it's the weekend, and for the next couple days I don't have to thing that I don't want to do for the most part, I think. How's that for that? But, so I told you guys already that on Monday, while I was at work, my son had a seizure. And that was just really overwhelming emotionally, because he's my youngest son. And I wasn't home. So, period, My youngest son had a health issue and I wasn't there. And then Tuesday we had to take him to a pediatrician to follow up. And of course, our pediatrician is fabulous, love her to death, but they always tell you the worst case scenario, which is smart to prepare you, to give you as much information as you can. But then it's also like, really? This, that? You can not have a license. But then they also tell you, like, statistically, this is that. And so, being in sales, I know numbers don't lie. There's always an exception. But the numbers, they don't lie. So, there's that. And then there is the ongoing just drama of the election, where like today's like what, the 12th or something, and we're still like just hearing about the election and the drama, and it's just so, and it's not so impactful for me as much as it draws on and on. People that I know start to share their political opinion about it, and it's so eye-opening, and it's so discouraging for me personally to hear or see or read some of the things that they share. And so I'm just like, I'll be happy when this part is over so that there'll be less of that. But I'm also thankful to know where people's heads and hearts are at. So, there's always that challenge. But as entrepreneurs, we know that you do have to change the people that you spend your time with, whether it's your physical time or your social time, online or whatever. So, let's weed the garden as the weeds arise, I guess. And then Thursday evening, I get a text from my daughter, my oldest one. She recently moved to the mainland, and it has been a wild ride from the beginning, but we trust that God makes all things work for our good and His glory, and we trust that all of this is about her character development and building her faith, just allowing her to discover her faith more and build a testimony. And boy, is she building a testimony. So she texted me to tell me that she has lost her sense of taste and smell, which are two very common symptoms of COVID. And so here it is. My youngest son had a health issue and I wasn't able to be there. And now my oldest daughter, my oldest child, is having a health issue and mommy still can't be there. So, I'm just like, this week has been so full, and I am excited for the weekend where I just don't have anything, and so I'm hopping on camera to share that life happens, right? But it just does. Like, that's all that there is to it. We can't control anything. We just have to accept life on life's terms, choose the attitude we want to have, choose the perspective that we want to maintain, and take action in the next best way that we can, in my opinion, for success. And success does not always have to mean a big fat paycheck. Sometimes success means just getting through the day without feeling stressed out, without feeling negative, without being a downer towards others. It's okay to not be all, happy-go-lucky, cheerleader, joyful, but it doesn't mean that in that not overwhelmingly joyful feeling that we get to be a person who just shares negativity and brings others down. And so my way normally is just to actually be kind of quiet. I think maybe I'm just like reflecting on things. Woo! iGrow. I think I spend a lot of time reflecting on things, the events, thinking about what it means. Like I said in the beginning, I have been studying Job. And so right now with Job, I'm in the chapters where I was at chapter 3 when I started the video. So now I'm on chapter 8. I think I just finished chapter 8. And so we're at this point where he's going through these discussions, these dialogues with his friends and his wife. And they're just like, why don't you just, like, his friends and family basically are really negative and discouraging and almost like blaming, even though they know like he's not a man of false integrity or anything. It's kind of like they're like, what's the deal? It must be you, kind of thing. And Job is still standing firm on his faith, although he is like really just kind of, take me, Lord. And I understand like just being so exhausted from all the circumstance that you're just like, oh gosh, can I just get out of here? But we can't take that position for too long. It's one thing to like, feel a little pity, self-pity for a minute, feel a little like, I don't want to do this, kind of whiny or whatever. And then it's another thing to like stay there. And so I believe it's okay to acknowledge your feelings. I believe it's okay to even take a minute and play the sad song, cry it out, like, grumble to a friend that's going to listen with love and then encourage you in the truths of every situation, which are, it is just a situation, it's temporary, things will change, nothing stays the same. We are created in and for a divine purpose and in a divine way. So, feel the feelings, but don't bury yourself in them, because then what's next? So, I just wanted to share that. And actually, I'm going to share something else from one of my mentors from my Mary Kay days. Her name is Banks, and she's an amazing entrepreneur. She's an amazing public speaker. She's an amazing motivational speaker and teacher, and she has really brought into my life some joy through her accomplishments. She's one of the top producers in Mary Kay. She has been for several years. She's a Black woman. She came from a very challenging history, which, I'm not going to try to tell and let her tell that. Not in this video, but, you can always look her up. And against her. And then you watch her, and she is powerful and graceful and loving and kind and full of integrity and full of enthusiasm and completely professional. And while she works very hard to be that way, it also is very natural for her at this point. Like, she recognizes the situation for what it is and decides, okay, and now, you know, that's what this is, and now this is how I'm going to move forward, because you can't stay in that place of defeat. And so I really appreciate that. So I'm going to share with you possibly her video.
Okay. Let's be 100% clear. Let's be 100% clear, because I'm getting a lot of requests on, Gloria, how do you keep going in the midst? In the midst. Okay, so this says you have a special way of making people smile. And we all have a special way of making people smile. And now we have got to start smiling, because we need to be clear that we're getting ready to go into a season that is going to be more challenging than the season we're in right now. And if we ignore it, then we are going to get more frustrated by it. Because remember, frustration is misplaced expectation. So I'm just here to tell you that I encourage you to get your mindset straight for what you're getting ready to go into, so that you can lead yourself. Sometimes we lead ourselves, sometimes we lead others. Okay, so let me tell you this. When you find yourself slipping into that arena where you're not feeling yourself, where you're getting a little upset, when your anxiety is higher than normal, number one, first you have to acknowledge it. Because if you don't acknowledge it, you can't do anything about it. And then what do you do when I get there, Gloria? The thing that you can do the best is to do something nice and kind for someone else when you're not feeling your best. If you could send them a card, if you could call them on the phone and talk to someone and lift them up through degrees of encouragement. Even when you're not feeling your best, lift someone else up. Maybe you can drop some food over to somebody's house that you get to cook, because that's your gift. You know that's not my gift. But if that's your gift, you can give that gift away to someone else by taking them something that you prepared. You have fun preparing it for someone else. You think about how they're going to enjoy it, and it brings joy back to you. And then when they call you with their excitement and joy of the gift that you gave them, you start to feel better. You guys, we all have a special way to make someone else smile, and use it. Because as we go into this season, we have to all pull together and get through this, because we can.
Thank you for watching or listening. I hope this content has helped you in any way. Maybe motivated or inspired you. Maybe it's triggered an idea. Maybe it's gotten you out of a rut. Maybe it's simply entertained you. Listen, I'm just a mom and wife who lost her way in the process of taking care of everyone around her, ending up overweight, depressed, and lonely. From rock bottom, I rediscovered myself, a new passion for life, and a purpose outside of my comfort zone. I shifted into running my own business, and I've never looked back. If you want to follow me on my journey or connect further, you can either go to my blog at DeaniGooseby.com. That's DeaniGooseby.com, or click the link in the description. Aloha for now, my friends.